This is coming. Okay, so here we are. This is the November #1 practicum for the tags. Questions, answers, coaching each other. So just take a breath and breathe yourself right here into the present moment. And with the breath, as you exhale, all of that which still is waiting to be done, put it off to the side. It won't be lost. Just be present here. We gather on the sacred ground of sovereignty and ask that there be the triple cocoon, the hazmat field around each one of us, around our homes, our land, our loved ones. Those energy fields do what they are designed to do. Hold stability, remove parasitics, balance, and create secured channels to that world of the divine star families. Breathe and make sure that your body feels comfortable. Just be held. Nothing it needs to do, no messages it needs to give. We invite in all of the teams that work within the TAG collective. They be present as we share and talk and are open to expansion of what it is we know, how to apply. We are always open to the guidance you bring. So our circle is set, it is held within this sacred ground of sovereignty. The triad of the divine feminine of Gaia, Sophia, and Grace. Those we love, our homes, the world is in your hands also. Gathered, secured, our circle is opened, and so it is. Okay, so let's place ourselves in the circle, and whatever quality you want to make sure is there, add a quality if you'd like, and however many who you would want to place in the circle to be in that healing space by name or number. Okay, so Sharon Raji Maynard here, Woodby Island. I want to put in the circle vitality and 10 people. And I pick Audrey.
Hi, I'm Audrey from Northeast PA, and I bring in the quality of balance and stability. And I would like to bring in 11 people. And I tag Arlie.
Hi, I'm Arlie in New Zealand. I would like to bring in calm and peace, 8 people and a cat. And I will call on Orlantha.
I'm Orlantha. I'm here in Arizona. I would like to bring 6 people to the circle. And I would like to bring the quality of reassurance and confidence. I would like to tag Jalen.
Hello, friends. I'm Jalen. I'm here in Viroqua, Wisconsin. I would like to bring in presence of clarity. I need some clarity really bad. And I bring with me 7 people. And let's see, is anyone after me? No. That's all.
So what we have consciously added to the circle, in addition to what it is, because we're just here with each other, is vitality, stability and balance, calm, peace, reassurance and confidence, and clarity. And we have 42 people and a cat in for our healing group. So before we start, I want to just call in their causal teams, their higher selves, of those who are by intention put into this healing space, and ask that they be moved into their next highest and best wellness, vitality, blessings, and opening eyes, whatever it is they need. We activate the tag matrix in their behalf and know that in the hands of divine love, things can happen that seem impossible. And that is what we call for. And so it is. Okay. So let's just get right into it. You know what I didn't, oh my gosh, I did put on the recording. Good for me. Okay, so let's just start with what's been going on, what feedback, what experiences, just whatever comes to mind. What we want to hear is how you have you worked with the tag? How's it going? What questions have come up? In what doubts have come up? Anything at all as it relates to trying on this process and being involved with helping others and ourselves. And we're just going to popcorn it. So whoever wants to start.
Well, I had a girlfriend ask me if I would do a healing on her. And at the time, I did not have time. So I called in a guardianship circle. I froze her, deep sixed what was there. And then did not get around to it. Didn't feel the call, didn't get around to it. 3 days later, she calls me up, thanks me profusely, tells me she is 100% better. She's been sleeping at night. The neuropathy is gone, this, that, and the other thing. So then I was thinking, is it possible that just doing that beginning was all she needed? I mean, I called in the causal teams and all of that. Or do we have something else happening here? So I have on the one hand this, guess what happened, guys? And this, not everybody needs the same thing, and some people just need less. And on the other hand, I'm a shit friend. I didn't do what I said I was going to do, except for the very beginning part. And who knows? She just got better.
I think as we go along, let's talk about one at a time. Okay. So let's talk about that, and everybody can step in. Where I would go with it, first of all, Arlie, I'm not going to do it right now, but where I would go with it is I would get out my pendulum and say, what happened? What happened with her? Because in tag, we're working in partnership.
Right.
And so you gave her causal team permission to do what they needed to do with the protocol. You framed the situation, said you don't have to get bigger because we're gonna get the message. And you gave her team permission to do what they need to do within that basic protocol.
Yeah, and I find that the other thing that I do is I kind of have these people on a back burner in my mind. And every now and then something will pop up or their name will pop up and I will just call in, remember, think, do a thing. You know, just a little thing like, how's that guardianship circle? PTO, look at that sort of stuff.
See, the law is.
Yes, it never occurred to me to pendulum and ask. I
Well, you
mean,
because
yeah,
you know, and the reason I say that is because what is true in this situation is maybe isn't true everywhere. You know what I mean?
right.
This specific situation, did I do all that was needed for what she needed at the time? Yeah, evidently, because it got done, right? Is there another question would be, is there going to be more that's going to come up? So shall I be prepared to say, and if anything more comes up, there'll be more to do. It's a perfect example of using the law. The law says self, personal choice. One voice will be heard and will be answered. And we've put that into a model, into a system that says, I'll be the voice. I'm a presence of, and I have connections here, so that when you use your voice and you activate, Deep Six has specific actions. Tag Matrix has specific actions. Deep Six has specific actions. Guardian Circle has specific actions. So, so when you request, you're going to be answered. Now, this individual may be one who brought in like 500 density points, so that a lot of her stuff is marked for removal, and it might be that, no, this is the tip of the iceberg, but she's going to know that your work is good, that you have something to add, and she may come back for something down the road a ways, because the law of manifestation says if there's more in her field that needs to be healed and transformed, it will show up in her life, right?
Yeah. And I also just decided that this kind of healing doesn't need to be done sitting down and in one session. It just occurred to me that the way that I'm actually doing this is this back burner thing. I forget these things almost as soon as I do them, but I've called in the SSR on her behalf. I've done ancestral healing on her behalf. All of this as it comes to me while I'm like walking on the beach or something, not sitting down with my pendulum, looking at colors and stuff like that. Does anybody else forget what they do almost immediately after they do it? Yeah, I mean, I need to, oh, thank God. Yeah.
I also wanted to add on top of all that faith is really big. And if she had faith in you, that has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah,
I have
because
no idea if she had faith.
there's that kind of law of ask and you receive. If she asks you and has a trust in you, she may not know this, but she trusts you. It's that same law. Ask. Where do you ask? You ask where you have faith. Right? And that's a good point.
So I'm just thinking of a situation. I was walking with my friends and her knee was really sore at the end of our walk. And I don't even remember asking like the PTO team or anything. Just like you said, Arlie, like, did you? And she got home and said, did you do something? She says, because the pain's gone. And I'm like, I don't have an answer. I said, well, I guess spirit took care of it. Right. So like, yeah, you've become very like, oh, well, tend to that. Like whatever she needs, please do tend to that.
Yeah.
But it's like up in here and in here.
Yes. And Sharon, that's the beauty of your system, is that you have pounded into our heads and taught us over and over that we can do this. Being here in a female body gives us the power and the right to call in these things. And why should it have to be in ceremony with our candles lit and sitting at the table with our interpretation papers before us or whatever the hell, and our notes? Why shouldn't we be able to walk along and go, oh yeah, that just occurred to me, I can do that?
That's that your presence is enough. Your presence
Yeah.
of imbalance is enough to imbalance. Your presence of fear is enough to create fear. Your presence is what's really important. It's like that energy vibration that you hold. That's where it emanates from. And we're rebuilding the presence by taking specific steps, by practicing certain protocols. And they're tools. They absolutely, there are times when you'll want them, but also your presence is enough. And that those moments when something comes to mind or someone comes to mind, yes, you may not know what that person is needing, but it's coming into your attention at a spiritual body level or an emotional body level. It doesn't have to be in your face, right? Because all of those vibrational fields have a language. And when the message comes to you, you act on it. And if you don't know what to, you don't even have to know what to do. You can say, oh, who knows about that? And listen, we do activate deep six. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're a partnership. We are part of a huge collective, way beyond tag, by the way. Tag's included, but way beyond tag. Yeah.
So I find if I'm doing an Akashic record, say I haven't done the actual like tag with the colors and everything, but if I'm in the record, it's like, wait, this goes farther back.
Mhm.
And then I'll call in the PTO and the whole team and say, okay, to go from where it originated. Is that okay?
What we do, what we've been doing in tag level 1 is identifying a trigger issue,
Yeah.
right? What the pattern, what the triggered it, what's the pattern, right?
Mhm.
And then where in that moment of time, which is the Akashic records, I don't use that word, but it's the same. Where in
Right.
time is a place where it can be corrected, and that's where, and then using the dialogue process to get there.
Right.
And that's what we've been doing, activating a matrix beyond us having to say it all those pages,
Right.
activating deep six with the team. But in the level 1 and 2, I mean in 2 and 3, then you start going, okay, how do you go back? How do you go back further? And how do you know how far to go back? And how do you go back to the insertion, for example? So there's more tools that we add to this basic. This
Okay.
basic is really powerful. You could just keep, there's some people that all they would need is maybe 2 or 3 basics. Come to you maybe once a year for just kind of a tune-up. And then there are others who that gets them started because they're very complex. And that's where having knowledge of other processes is very helpful, because not everyone, I don't know what percentage, I haven't ever asked. I would say it's a low percentage of those who just doing the basics, maybe 2 or 3, and then maybe every 6 months or once a year, just kind of keeps them in tune. And there are some like that for sure. That's for sure. And for me, I mean, you see my notebooks? I mean, I buy these huge ones, and I write them down. To answer your question, Arlie, I write them down for 2 reasons. So that I can remember what I did, what I was guided to do, so I can teach you. I have to dissect what I do so I can have you duplicate it so you can get your own way of doing that. And then, and the other reason I take notes is because when I'm doing a long distance session, I won't remember. And when I do a feedback or recap, I won't remember. I have to have notes. And there was a time that I thought maybe I should keep a file system, so you came 6 months ago and here's yours and progression. No, don't worry about that. No, it's if whatever is not done in one session will show up for the next session. You don't have to track. You go in, you do what you do. Some things will absolutely go away and some things will still be there. That's fine. Then in the next session.
Yeah, I think that with my way of operating where I'm walking along or in the grocery store, or whatever, that finding out if there's a recording function on my phone, and iPhones have everything, there certainly should be, but I couldn't just whip it out and say, Jan, SSR, and then write it down when I get home.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but
I should do that. Well, so that I have a record of what I've been doing.
there you go. And it's kind of the same reason that I was told to have a journal, because I needed to track, because I don't remember. Sometimes, I mean, when people, you work with a person, it's very meaningful for both of you, really. And they come back 6 months later and they remember all the details and expect you to, but you don't. I don't. They can say a few words and I'm going, oh yeah, now it's kind of coming back, but tell me what I told you. It's, because you don't have to carry it. And it's a good thing you don't.
Yeah, it's a good thing you don't, but it's also good so that just at the beginning of this conversation here today, I was saying, this is all I did. And then while we were talking, no, I actually did a hell of a lot more. And it would have been, useful for my own feedback to myself, but I'm not carrying pencil and paper and journal when I'm out, with the dog or whatever I'm doing, but I do carry my phone. So I could just and put it down when I get home.
Yeah. Or text to yourself.
Oh,
I have
God,
Otter.
really text
Or email.
myself.
I email to myself sometimes. Just a note, just a
Yep.
word issue. You can do that. Audrey?
I have Otter on my phone, and it's a record, but it transcribes too.
Oh,
And then you could on my iPhone, and then you could print it out if you want.
Oh my God. OTTER, OTTOR?
OTTR, I think it is. Let me look.
yeah,
No, OTTER.
okay. Yeah, the apps that they have on the phone are really quite good.
All right. Thank you. This may just change my life.
I know. I know.
Such a simple thing.
Oh my. So what else is on your mind, ladies?
So I did a session with my friend. I feel like I need help interpreting what I found out.
Go for it. That's what we're here for.
So her pattern, she told me that she is having trouble finding the right business partner and getting her business up and running. So I put that in a ice cube box for her, and I did a session over FaceTime, so over the video chat with her. And the person that triggered her is a male family member. And what did my client sense, feel, or experience from this other? And hers was clarity / correct leader.
So it was clear yellow. Was it clear yellow?
Yes.
Okay.
What was my client's reaction? And hers was clear intuition and inner knowing.
Okay.
What was my client left with? Emotional pain, imbalance, And then the last one, what did my client believe from this interaction? And hers was unconditional and holding all good. So it was a little difficult for me to interpret.
So, so the last one was it clear green?
Yes.
Okay, clear green. Okay. So the problem here, you see, why emotional pain?
Yeah.
That's
I
the-
just,
so here's, yeah,
these colors I got, I really never got for anyone else. So I didn't know what to think.
that's because that's what happens. That's why doing the work opens the doors, really pushes. So here she is, she's a woman, she's got a good idea about what she wants for her business, for a career, and yet this business partner, in clarity, not mean, but clarity, that's what she felt from him. And she, in an inner knowing level, there was a match. She didn't, it was just like these things can happen like click, click. So he was clear. It sparked her inner knowing. Think about that. And she went immediately to emotional pain. Right?
Mhm.
So what my question would be then, okay, this is where you would want to absolutely, just a minute, I've got him. This is where you'd say, where did emotional pain come from? And this we haven't done in basic tag before, but what you would say, okay, freeze frame that situation, because there's information in there, but it doesn't give you the enough answers. Now you could make it up, but and we're not going to. So what we're going to do is say to this pattern, where did emotional pain come from? What's the pattern that triggers emotional pain? And that's where you could go through with the pendulum again. Do you want me to do it to see what I get? And I want you to know this. I could use my pendulum and I would get a pattern that's appropriate. Orlantha could use her pendulum. She'd get a pattern that's appropriate, and they might be two different times. And one of the values of having multiple people working together on a situation is that I might be shown a situation 300,000 years ago. Orlantha might be shown a situation 200 years ago. Arlie might be shown a pattern, 6,000 years ago. So we do not have to see the same story to be validated. And that's really important. So I'm going to just use my pendulum, but this is how you would work with that. So I'm going to ask to know, what is it that triggered the emotional pain? Because there's something in that. So all this good stuff around her, and yet she's in emotional pain. What is that? So I just ask, was the other person male? Yes. She in a female body? Yes. So that's what we'll put down right here, male and female. Was the male a family member? No, authority of some kind. What did she feel from that authority? She felt muddy orange, in other words, control, deceit. Muddy orange is control or deceit. So this was an authority who lied to her in a controlling culture. And how did she respond in that moment? She responded with clear green. She didn't recognize the deceit. She's trusting this authority. What was the reaction from that for her? And it's muddy white, which is codependent and emotional pain. So her experiences with men who are authorities, you can put this down. So here she's in that lifetime. This male has the energy of deceit and control, but he's an authority. She doesn't recognize him as a deceitful person. So she's present. She's going to be supportive of him. And instead of her being able to be recognized, to be partnering, etc., she's codependent. She is made subservient to him, which leaves her in emotional pain. Now let's come forward to what you got, Orlantha. So here's this man in her life, and he is clear. Like when a man speaks with clarity in our world, we look at him as an authority. We're just trained that way as women. So here's another face of authority. And she remembers something triggers her inner knowing. And instead of her being comfortable, being able to be trustful, she's now in emotional pain. Because why? There's that an old underlying story that says, you can't trust men. You can't trust authority. I'm not going to be supported. I'm going to be subservient. And I'm going to end up not living my dream. Does that make sense, Orlantha?
Yeah.
And so, you know, for her, then you just take the correction to go back in time. I would go back to this situation and freeze frame it. I'd freeze frame that second situation because that's their message is there. But then I would go back to before she meets this person, where she is with women who are happy and clear and visionary. I find the circle closest to that time in my imagination, where the women are stable, visionaries, have their gifts. And then that's where I would go in and say, I'm coming with my client. We're coming from the future. And we love what you're doing. You are doing amazing things here, this circle of sisters. But there is an authority voice that was taken from you, and you're going to need it in short order. Are you ready? Are you willing to listen? And that's where I would bring in the Sophia contingency. I would have them, you know, explain about the Sophia Center, the discernment, that they'll feel something off. When they do, they bring in Sophia and clear it from space. I would go through that whole ceremony ritual so that now in your imagination, she goes forward and here's this deceitful person and she knows immediately who he is. And she immediately says, I know who you are, out of our village. And then it collapses that, you know, it clears the records. And then what she's going to need in this lifetime is the reality statement that she has strong, loving support, that she is safe and I'm going to use the word support again, in bringing her vision forward with unlimited health of good, something like that. You know, I think this is a big deal for her. And I think this is multi-layered more than, you know, but she's got to get that. And then she's got to put some strong reality shifts. The authorities in her world, including men, know what she's up to, love what she's up to, support her. She's got to have that really strongly in place. That she has women around her who are encouraging and feeding and giving her the roots. She really needs that big time. So she might need to have maybe three or more sessions with you, Orlantha.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, see how it goes between now and the time we meet again. But good,
Okay.
kudos to you. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I knew it was a little complicated. So.
Yeah. And again, you know, this one, is simply an example of the tag basic, but doing it twice in one session. It's the same process. Instead of stopping with that first pattern, because it doesn't make sense. You look at, wow, and that's when you can say, well, that emotional pain is a problem. So where do I go? And then you just duplicate it right there in the second session and go back a little bit farther, doing this, using the same processes.
Okay.
Okay, good for you.
I'll share some. I have been doing the tag protocol pretty regularly at this point. I have 2 people I'm working with, and I basically gave them the lowdown that I wanted to do 4 sessions each because I wanted that commitment before I agreed. And so far I've done each of them twice. And next time I meet them, I'm going to do the evolutionary blueprint download. So I wanted to get stuff out of the way first.
Yeah.
And I've got their private pages on the website and all of that. Yeah, it's been fun. Audrey and I met and chatted, and we're gonna meet next week and start doing sharing tag healing with each other.
Good.
Yeah, and what I found, my way of speaking about the tag healing is basically saying, you know, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do some soul retrieval, soul integration, and ending contracts and connecting you with your guides, and that's kind of like the short hand of it. And yeah, it's been really good. I wish I could do more of it. I've got some really hardcore clients right now, and I want to bring this to them, but I don't feel like I know enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't yet either. I would.
Yeah.
Right on that one.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to learning more. And I also enjoy just working with what I have and just trying to eke these people along. The ones that are like, they're just, yeah, there's some, just, it's so sad to watch some of these people suffer. And it's like, I know I will be able to help you. So just hang on for like 2 more months.
Yeah.
But
I like that you're, you know, that you're saying let's do 4 sessions. The reason I personally, I haven't done that for quite some time. I do packages, but the reason I liked it is because you got to see the progression, and you got some accountability there, and you know, and it's like a little mentoring sessions, isn't it? But you get to see the progressions and the progressions and the progressions, and so that's nice. Have you started charging something yet, Jaylyn?
no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think when we start level 2, that we'll want to talk about that, because, you know, whenever you feel ready to start charging, I would encourage you to follow that lead. You know, this is totally up to you to say, okay, I feel like this is either a charge or donation or something. You totally feel free to do that.
Yeah. I've been doing the online, I'm on Insight Timer every morning.
Oh yeah.
And most mornings I do the Guardian Circle.
Oh, good.
And set space, and that's been really fun. It's just 30 minutes, and I've got people that are reaching out to me on the side, but no one that's ready to commit. And if they were ready, I would totally work out a deal with them. But so far, they're all sharing their wounds. You know, like I have TBI, I have congestive heart failure, I have third stage kidney failure. I'm just like, whoa, I've got a really intense group here. I must just draw in intensity. That's all I can figure.
What I was told is that for myself, you know, and I think it's true for everyone. That's what I'm holding for us, for you guys as tag facilitators, that people who find you have what that person needs. And even if like right now you don't know how to take them further, you know where to send them to take them further. You have what they need. And if you do what you feel to do with that person, they wouldn't come to you if you weren't able. So yeah. And I'm going to go, just refer back to the heart and soul career workshop that I don't know if you all did it or not, but the heart and soul model is that you're in a pyramid. In your career is a pyramid, and down here's your insider, isn't it? It's the base of your pyramid. Most of the things are free or low cost, and they get to know you there. And it's not until they know you and want to and trust you that they then take the next step. But that's a perfect place for that bottom layer, people getting to know you.
Yeah,
Kudos to you,
it's
Jalen.
been really fun.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, my main job is working with the people with disabilities and addiction. So
That's really
I don't feel good about bringing this forward to them yet. And so I just continue doing the yoga and the drum journeys and things like that with them. And I put them in guardian circles, and I do the setting of space. I feel pretty good about doing that with anyone and everyone.
Yep. And the guardian circles, any and everyone, absolutely. Deep six, any and everyone, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I really have to say that when you were talking about how our presence is everything,
Mhm.
and also that we're enough, and it's just like, oh wow, I kind of forgot both of those, and I had a experience last night where I feel really lost lately, and so my presence must be lost. Like I'm just very confused and bummed about my confusion, wanting clarity. And and I've never thought about the fact that I'm enough, and I can just like bring the guardian circle, that's enough. I've always been like, I've got to, I sit down, I get out my pendulum, and I have my paper in front of me, and I'm very logical like that. I guess I forgot that I could have that. And last night, my husband's like, just deep six. And I was like, I just want to complain right now. I don't want to deep six,
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah. Just creation is another really short, powerful, when you're in the funk and all of a sudden you realize you're in the funk. That's another really powerful tool.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, I really like that one. I should do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else is on the front burner, back burner, mid?
What is Inside Timer?
Oh yeah, that's good, Jalen.
It's an application where there's like 100,000 free guided meditations. There's a really awesome timer. It's insight, like, oh, what a beautiful insight.
Insight.
Yeah. Okay. Insight timer. And there's all these different teachers on there. And it's a process to get the live status, but then you can create classes and then show up. It could be talks, meditations, music, yoga classes. So it's very cool. I really like it. I don't go to Facebook anymore. Every once in a while I look at Facebook, but I just go to Insight Timer and hang out over there.
And it's an app too, isn't it, Jalen? It's a desktop and a phone app.
Yep.
Yeah, it has a lot of things on there for sure.
Yeah, it's really fun. And the timer itself is awesome.
It
has great interval bells. So if you want to do like a 30-minute meditation and the first 3 minutes, I'm going to do my guardian circle. And the second 3 minutes, I'm going to work with my PTO. And you can really structure. I'm too structured, obviously, but I really like the interval bell for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Arlie, you want to share with the experience when we did a triad with Richard? because I think knowing different ways to apply what we're doing. Would that be okay?
Oh, yeah. Um, boy, where to begin? So Sharon, Cinda, and I decided to work on my husband's back. And after 3 days, we decided to get together and talk about what we had done. And during that get together, do another little meditation journey healing session. And afterwards, my husband was remarkably improved from being unable to walk 100 steps without severe back pain. He was walking down the beach up where he was. Doesn't matter where he was. He was walking much farther than he had been able to, and back. And yeah, it was just incredible. All of us had different healing techniques. This all started because during a journey, Cinda and I both, and instead of going off to whatever the intention of the journey was, I found myself looking at Richard and his spine, and Cinda did too. When we came back to discuss where we'd been and what we were doing, it turned out that the two of us had been working on Richard's spine. And so Sharon organized the group to focus and concentrate on that. Yeah. So
The most powerful number, this is what I have been told consistently, the most powerful number for women is 3. 3, 6, 9. It's not that other numbers aren't good, but triads are really very powerful. And Richard's dealing with a real severe back situation, and Arlie's been doing some great work on it. I've done some work on it, but since they were both drawn in our Monday journey to his back, I thought, why not just the 3 of us? And we just made the commitment to do that sometime during the 3 days before we did an online Zoom. And that was it. Focus on Richard's back, do what you feel to do. And it took a giant, I would say it took a giant leap forward.
it took a giant leap forward.
Mhm.
Giant.
Right.
He did overdo on the 3rd day. He got really overexcited about this ability to have a much more normal life. And he ended up paying for that somewhat, but it's been really, really good. I mean, it was like, we talk about instant healing, and this was for him pretty instant and really good. Not perfect, long way to go still. So much better than he was. I mean, he was having trouble standing at the counter to make coffee because of the nerve compression and everything else. So it was severe.
And so I think it's important to understand, have some of that feedback and understand that, it was a giant step, not finished yet. We might,
Right.
so whatever Early continues to do, or another triad continues to do, it's like we're not done till it's done, till there is a stabilization of whatever that is. So for example, with my daughter with her heart, I held new heart, not in heart recovery. and when the heart was clearly not going to recover, I just didn't go like, okay, well, she's dead, because she would have been. We just shifted the plan, said to the team, can we shift the plan to be a heart transplant? We didn't, what we weren't able to avoid a heart change. We couldn't say no surgery. What we wanted was good, vibrant life, which requires a good heart, right? So, you sometimes don't know the steps that's going to get you to the outcome of vibrancy and wellness and balance. But you know, we can get there. I'm working with a client now that when, I guess it was about 3 years ago, she had breast cancer, early stage, like level 1 or something, very early, that double mastectomy. They said, don't need anything. This is totally good. We got it really early. And now 2.5 years later, she has cancer again. Now it's in her liver and it's in her spine and it's in her breast tissue, no breast, but the tissue, right? And they tell her that if chemo works, and they don't know it will, she has 3 years to live if chemo works. So we applied the tag, and of course these situations use, you know, you need advanced stuff for this kind of stuff, but that we have it. So she about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, was ready to go into chemo. And the day before, when they take the blood samples, they couldn't do chemo because her liver numbers were too high. The liver couldn't handle it. So we just targeted in, and we used the evolutionary blueprint. As soon as it was downloaded, we've used that majorly too. And the next week she's doing it weekly. Next week, her numbers on the liver were down, and she's had her treatments ever since, every time. So last week, when they did the numbers to see about if she could have her chemo, that her doctor looked at her numbers and she said, man, you might live a long life. This last week, the following week, they're taking a test to see how well the cancer treatment is doing. You know, it's not just her numbers for her liver and stuff. How's the treatment going? How's the cancer doing, etc. So she texted me, and they are blown away. Everything's shrinking. The cancer markers are going away, and they know that treatment's working. And they're no longer saying, if treatment works, you have 5 years. They're going like, I don't know what's going on with your body, but you may live a long life. You know, some really fantastic things. I'm working with you, Jaylyn. I'm working with a client now who we discovered had her first interaction with sexual abuse energy at 4 months old. And you know what happens when a child encounters either abuse energy or neglect energy? The brain goes like, ah! Broken brain. And there was no indication of this, because it wasn't necessarily overt, but a child at that level, if a male is activated sexually, even if he doesn't act on it, the child in the vicinity feels it, and it's all, and they interact on an emotional and psychological level as if it happened. So working with this person, with this woman, who at age 4 months began having that kind of energy in her space, it's been amazing to see, because it's taking a lot of soul integration, consistency, a lot of hours, a lot more than I would normally put into a client, because it's huge, and you need the right kind of setting, you need the right kind of support around it. And right now I don't know that we have a model with that integrated as part of the team. We really need that for some of these people. Yeah, so really good things going on. Any other questions or anything that comes up? I'm just going to touch a little bit on the evolutionary blueprint, okay? Because I mean, as far as I know, we're the first group, maybe the only group, that's working with it in this form. A lot of people are getting like, I know there's downloads happening, and I know things that, but as far as a real specific, this is where it is, and this is what's happening, this is how we can work with it. I don't know who else out there in the world is doing it in this way. So it's really helpful for you to, pay attention to what happens with you, what happens with your client. Was it you, Arlie, that felt someone? No, it was Deborah Mangus, who isn't here with us tonight. It was her, and she said when she was I don't know if she was on a vision journey, but she was on the inner plane and aware of the blueprint, but aware that her systems, and this is her uniquely, but it's also possible for others, her systems were so armored. I think that was the word she used, so armored that it was hard for the vibrations to get in. So therefore, it's really good that we're doing at least 2 sessions, but be aware that if you have, that you could ask the question, you could use the word armored or scars. Are there any armored energies or scarred areas that need to be softened in order for the blueprint to be effective for this client? Just ask. And if there's codes, just say, then download the codes for softening the scars and dissolving the armor. And there's some other things that are coming up in relationship to the blueprint that I'll be able to share with the group in our next practicum. Not ready yet, but yeah, it's a pretty amazing process. Okay.
I have a quick question. So we can do that blueprint download at any time, because I initially thought it was just related to the Lions Gate opening.
Oh, no, we can do it anytime. Yeah, I went into the Lions Gate with a Mothership Alliance to introduce that group to the blueprint possibility, but I felt not to activate the blueprint in the group, but instead to take them on a healing journey, of an ancestral healing journey, with the invitation that if they wanted to then have that activation of the download of the blueprint, they could get a hold of me, and then I would get a hold of you guys. No one has picked me up on that, but that's okay. But yeah, so it was, you can activate, have that blueprint downloaded with any of your clients. I just suggest that you do at least 1 clearing session with them. And depending on the client, maybe 2. And then the additional, I haven't felt the need to ask about scars or armor, but since Deborah definitely felt that within her system, then it will be good for all of us to be aware of the possibility, so that we can, if need be, have that softened first. And I think I was going to say, maybe you could, at tail end of the session before, soften the scars, but I don't think I would do it then, because right now those scars and those armors have a purpose. Even though they may seem limiting, they have a purpose. So I think I would wait till I'm ready to do the blueprint, and if they need that done before the blueprint download, then incorporate that into the new vibrational field. Okay. So anything?
I think that's really interesting, because with some of my EV download people, I have absolutely not felt connected. I felt like I'm reading a nursery rhyme or something, even though I've done the healing beforehand and so on and so forth. So this really has a ring for me.
Yeah, because it can be that, that there's keeping the resonance away, and that may be what you feel. In working with this client who, had her first experience of fracturing at 4 months, as I'm going into work with her, I'm very clear that I had to talk to whoever was in charge of keeping her safe. So if there's, if there's a lot, if you feel a resistance, then talk to the resistance. If it's not of the light, of course, have it removed. But if it's of the light and it's a resistance and it's keeping you away, it has a reason. It has to be able to trust you. And this particular case, I think there was like 4 or 5, what I just call them her guardians, and they were from very, very young. But I had to build a relationship with them so that they trusted me, so that then they could introduce me around,
Mhm.
So that's something else to think about. Okay. So I think the next call is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving in our country. And I don't know if that's going to be a problem with anyone. It's not going to be a problem with me, but what do you think? Do you have any idea right now?
It shouldn't be a
Oh.
problem for me either.
Won't be a problem for me.
Nope. I'm going to show up. We're going to do it as usual. And there's a recording. Is that good? Okay.
All
I
right.
love you guys.
Thanks.
You're doing so good. Thank you for being there. And we'll see you when we see you again.
I love y'all.
Take care.
Bye,
Thank you so
everybody.
much.